Greetings. I need you to pay attention for a second. This is a speed test. If I say the letters F-O-L-K, what would you say? Quickly, out loud. P-O-L-K. What's the white of the egg called? Okay. This is a bait and switch. You think the Give campaign is supposed to raise money. We raise a lot of money. We raised $8.1 million in the last 8 or 9 years. But the real goal of the Give campaign is to applaud the great work you do, is to help build your capacity, to help end your isolation, because a lot of you nonprofits work in real small organizations, and to have fun. One of the most important things about the Give campaign is to network. So really quickly, we just want you to say your name and the name of your organization, and only one person per organization speaks. Okay? Because we want to do it quickly, but we want to understand who our audience is. So please just do it real quickly, and we're going to start at this table right here. No, shout. Stand up and shout.
Ted Wharton, Community of Caring Foundation, Cripple Creek.
This table.
Carl Schneider, Colorado Springs World Affairs Council.
Okay, louder.
Alan Crawford, Black Forest Animal Sanctuary.
Beth Rolstad, Homeward Pikes Peak.
Ruth Rowland, Ormayo Dance Company.
Grandmaster Che from Jubion Martial Arts.
Melanie Lindsay Brisbane, I'm here for Project Angel Heart. Claire Anderson with Innovations and Aging. Ann Riley with Blue Horizons Beyond Colorado Springs. Joanne Martin.
Louder.
Joanne Martin with Pikes Peak Children's Museum. Joanna Lindstrom, I'm a contract writer. Shannon Mitchell, Pikes Peak Peer Writing Center. Lori Green, Peer Keeper Equine Sanctuary.
Chris Benson, Project Giving Water Supply District.
Alvin Cottle, Greenberg Center for Learning and Tolerance.
Danny Sophomore, KCMJ Community Radio.
Gene Smith, Wells Connections.
David and Derek Equine Friends.
Heather Sombrano with the Baby Ghost Ranch Academy Foundation. Eric Oakley Courage, Walker Land Trust. Liz Benson with Early Connections Learning Centers. Sue Lako and Young from CPCT Giving Children a Head Start. Courtney User, Springs Equality.
Chris Obi, Catamount Institute.
Ruth Burnett Means Victory Service House. I'm Allison Barber, I'm Urban.
Say that again.
Allison Barber, Urban. And we're England, CCS 18 Joyce Aubrey with Finding Their Voices.
Far right.
Lisa Ross with the Community Center in Woodland Park. Nicole Madison, Realm of Caring Foundation. Aaron Shulman, Mission Medical Center.
Mike Worley, the Care Portal, Legal for Redemption.
Derek Unrein, Process Skateboard Industry.
Catherine Hendricks, Parent Challenge.
Sarah Berge, Cerebral Palsy Association of Colorado Springs.
Beth Seymour, Correct Care for the Pikes Peak region. I, Kelly Pullman, Teach for America.
Sherry Brace, Salvation Army.
Peter Tuff, Colorado Springs Choral Society.
Would you do that in song?
Peter Tuff, Colorado Springs Choral Society.
Shirley Bianca, Assistance League of Colorado Springs.
Jeff Flacker, The Exodus Road.
Sherry Powers, Sole Del Gloria Choir. Catherine McNaughton and Stacey Burns, Better Business Bureau.
So the Give campaign has evolved. I'm John Weiss, and I am chairman of the independent newspaper. And we started the Give campaign 9 years ago, and it has, we had high hopes for it, and it's exceeded all our hopes. For the first time this year, we have just like you guys, we started out small with big dreams. For the first time this year, the Give Board, which is now an independent organization, a 501c3, and so we had to go through the paperwork just like you guys do, to create our own 501c3, we have our first full-time executive director. And so for us, that's transformational, just like for you guys going from part-time staff to full-time staff. Barb Van Hoy, I think I met, who knows, less than 40 years ago. And she served as an executive director of several local nonprofits and has been active on many different boards, et cetera, so on. So she has sat in your shoes. She is wonderfully qualified to lead the Give campaign. This is her first year, so be quasi-nice to her. And with no further ado, Barb Van Hoy.
Excited to be here. And when he was doing the thing about the yoke, I was like, I know how these work. And I still did yoke. As John mentioned, me being so new to the Give campaign and some of the names I recognized in the audience, there are definitely some of you that perhaps know more about the Give campaign than I. Please do bear with me and since the last time I was the executive director of a nonprofit giving a presentation, the technology changes. It keeps doing that, so knock on wood, let's hope it all works out well. I'm very excited to have so many people here. As some people mentioned, we can't believe it's already time to be thinking about this now, but it does give us a good amount of time to really consider all of the applicants. And so I want to thank you for being here and do our very best to really respect your time as well, because we recognize how valuable that is. This is an information session to talk about what it is to be in Give, what might be new this year with Give, what you might need to know as you think about whether you want to apply to be part of the Give campaign. How many people here have not participated as a nonprofit in the Give campaign, since I don't know all of them already? Great. Well, welcome. And then how many people have been in the campaign 2 or 3 years? And how about 4 to 5 years? All right, those are the people who definitely know more than me. Anyway, it's great to have you here. And as John said, there's networking involved, and there's a lot of great support by organizations who've been in Give with other organizations. So we look forward to that continuing. As John mentioned, we have a new official board of directors. We've got some great folks on it, and as we are new, we also are building. He mentioned the numbers of over $8 million in the last 8 years. 166 local nonprofits have been part of it, and in that work that we've all done together, over 60,000 donations from individuals locally to our nonprofits. So what we're going to talk about today, what is Give, what Give is not, is it right for you? Some of the elements of Give that are important, media support, matching grants, the participation fee, competitions. We'll talk a little bit about selling yourself in the campaign as well, and some of the changes and fun things that we have coming in. So what Give is. This is the mission, this is the blah blah version of your mission that you should not submit as your for your profile. It's the description of all of the things that we do. But there are a couple of things that I really want to point out here. One is that it's a platform. You don't apply and be granted money. You are not a recipient, you are a participant. If you are part of Give. Fun is a key word. We really want to try to make this fun, putting fun back in the fundraising, as they say. And competitions do really help, not just having your elbows up and down. And we really want to help people in our community learn about nonprofits. And part of what we do as Give with the whole application process is make sure that we feel really good about telling the community these are groups that we know that are worthy investments for you. So that's part of the reason we ask you so many questions in the application. The mission is really to increase the capacity of nonprofits, again, not just a fundraising platform. And we have an emphasis on relatively small and innovative groups that empower citizens, but obviously one of the great things about the campaign is that we have a really wide variety of different kinds of groups. Big groups who've been around a while, who maybe can utilize Give to reach out and find younger donors, as well as the newer groups who really need more help in that capacity area. What Give is not, as I mentioned. We're not a grant program. You don't apply and wait for the check to come in. It is also not just about fundraising. A lot of it is about learning to tell your story better and giving you an opportunity. We'll talk about media later, but also talking to our local people who care about our community about what kinds of volunteer opportunities that you offer that they might be interested in, and what kinds of things you're looking for donation-wise. So it's not just about fundraising the money, and we are not a foundation. Again, you don't just apply and wait for the money. So that kind of leads into this is Give Right for you, for your nonprofit. The last time I was actually a participating organization in Give was the first year in 2009. But since then, much has remained very similar. We have reduced a little bit the sort of number of required things, but it remains that Give is something that requires a lot of participation and a lot of work. It's not something that you can just say, well, you know, maybe we can come to a couple of things and, you know, send out a couple of newsletters. But there really is a serious time commitment to be to participate and Give, and we want to make sure that you are prepared for that before you apply to be part of it. So starting in June, a lot of that happens. We've got, those of you who've been in the campaign before are familiar with this, and it's very similar this year that there are a set of deadlines. You need to submit your media pitch, you need to submit your matching grants, you need to respond to edits that we send you for a lot of this kind of thing. There are several trainings that, only two of them are required this year, similar to last year, but many of them offered to help you do a lot of the things that are part of the campaign. You want to make sure that you have the people to do that work, that it's not something that someone who spends most of their time already doing the work for your organization, that it's not just a small add-on. But we do have some great organizations who are all volunteer and have really worked out how to make this work. And I have some of those stories to share. In fact, one of them recently from Assistance League, thank you. We like to share how to do things well. Something that worked for someone else might work for you as well. Also think about your needs beyond money. As I mentioned, volunteers and in-kind donations. And will your organization benefit from the trainings and those non-financial aspects? Thinking about whether or not to apply and what you talk about in your application. So it's very important that you understand as well that there is a participation fee. There's a lot of work that goes into putting all of this together. And so returning groups, these participation fees have stayed the same as last year. Returning groups, it's $1,000. First-time organizations, if you're chosen, the participation fee is $600. The participation fees are due with the contract on June 21st. So just know that that's coming up. However, we guarantee that you will make at least $1,500 if you participate in the campaign and do all of those things. If you don't raise at least $1,500, we will backfill that. So media, one of the biggest things about the campaign is helping you learn to talk about your organization, what you do, and helping to connect you with media partners. We've got 16 local media partners who are amazing as I've started to meet them. They're so excited and enthusiastic about telling the stories of great nonprofits in our community. And so part of being in the campaign is that you submit a media pitch. And that is a little bit of a competition for the media spots that all of these different partners, radio, print, and television, they're going to look at all those pitches and pick which, maybe 5 or 6 or 3, depending on the outlet, and they'll invite you to come and tell your story, and they will put that in their medium. As I said, they're competition-based, and we also make sure after all those media partners have picked their which groups they want to feature. If there are any participating groups that were not chosen, we go back to some of them and say, hey, how about so-and-so? So that's one of the things that we do for our participating groups. And if you have pre-existing media relationships, this is not competition, please leverage them. Many groups I know have developed great relationships with some of our media outlets through their participation in Give. And then when the Give campaign is not happening, or when we're not in the public part of it, you're still getting to talk with those folks, tell your stories, invite people to events, all that sort of thing. So a lot of the benefit of being in Give can kind of magnify and snowball that way. So matching grants is another one of the big things that you are responsible for that can be onerous, but at the same time, for those of you who are professional fundraisers, there's nothing better than an excuse like this to go talk to your supporters and say, hey, we're in the Give campaign, we need to get matching grants, and the studies on giving and donors really show that people love to respond to matching grants, their dollars get doubled, and that sort of thing. So it's a really important part of the campaign. It's always been an expectation. We, this year, have kind of said, well, let's call it what it is. Let's call it a requirement that everyone's profile on the website for Indy Give has at least one matching grant. We do provide a lot of support for you. There's a training, and staff is available to help as well. It's a really important tool. Someone asked at the last info session, is it okay if we start talking to people now? Yes, please do. Even if you're not going to be in the Give campaign, if you have a matching grant to talk to your supporters about at the end of the year, that's going to help your fundraising, and it's going to give people an extra incentive to give to you. So just be doing that anyway. So friendly competitions and challenge grants. Every year we have a different mix of whichever organization, for example, gets the most donors, young people between the ages of 18 and 36. That's one of our core ones that we pretty much have every year. Sometimes there's a jumpstart challenge at the beginning of the campaign. Who gets the most number of donations to kick off the first week of the campaign? Last year, we sprung a surprise on everyone in the middle of December and said, guess what? We have a fast finish campaign. Whichever group gets the most number of donations in the last 2 days of the year gets an extra bump. Maybe it's a $500, maybe it's more. Last year, the Inside Out Youth Services won the Young Donor Challenge, and at the top of that, and they got $3,000 extra as part of the campaign, and we do spread that out. There's first, second, third prize, and lots of others. We love to give you an extra incentive and motivation to do some of those things. And throughout the next few months, we'll be working on putting those together and figuring out what they're going to be. Some of the changes in the campaign, not so many as last year, I believe. Obviously, one of the new things is me. We have an executive director. Last year, like lots of organizations who utilized the Pikes Peak Community Foundation as their fiscal sponsor, we also no longer did that. So as John mentioned, we are newly the independent Indy Give. So we're doing all of our books and all that. Enhancements to the website. We have some fun, interesting things in the works. Including possibly some targeted social marketing campaigns that utilize a lot of the information that's available on Facebook of users who are interested in, say, animals, for example. Might pull them to our website to feature a lot of the animal groups or the arts or outdoors, any of those sort of things. So those we're really just hatching those ideas right now. The website that we rolled out last year, the web developers, this was a new company that we went with, and they do the similar website campaigns for some of the other campaigns around the country. It was much more stable this year than the year past, so we're really excited about that stability and being able to build on that. And one of the elements is the application that you are going to be submitting this time. For those of you who've done it a few times before, this one is similar, but it's a little different. It actually integrates with our website, so when you put in your profile and you upload your images, they will be there for the groups who get chosen to be part of the campaign to just load up, which it will be nice. So do know that that's a new system. We already worked out one kink this week. If you do have trouble, please email me. Obviously, my job is to make it easy for you to apply, so please do let us know if you have any, if you see any hitches. We appreciate that. Similar rewards, hopefully we'll have some fresh new offerings and maybe a few more. We will be doing a similar gift guide rather than the big book, but this time we will be mailing it out to more people beforehand. All these are sort of a little bit kind of backroom things, but similar to last year, we'll just have 2 mandatory sessions. We are adding, so last year we did not do the social media trainings, and we're going to bring those back. We're going to do one 101 social media training and also one that's a little bit more sophisticated. Campaign dates. Many of you are very familiar with these. The live portion of the campaign, when all the participating groups are featured on the website and we are out there asking the community to give, that is all of November and December. And the calendar really worked well with us this year, so that Wednesday, the day the independent newspaper is published, is a Wednesday on November 1st. So that will be the campaign launch. And we'll do the inserts twice in both the independent newspaper and the Colorado Springs Business Journal this year, and ends on December 31st. And the check ceremony will be February 1st. Also, I'm not sure how long we've been doing it this way, but at least last year and this year as well, all of the events that are part of the campaign, such as this one, all of the trainings and the kickoff will be Thursdays between 3:30 and 5 at Stargazers. Although I'm not sure, with the exception of the check ceremony. So a few things to think about to sell yourself in the application. If you didn't already see or wasn't mentioned, you do need to be a local 501c3 or fiscally sponsored. We do have national and international organizations that have participated in the campaign, but the key is that you're raising money and featuring service work that is in the Pikes Peak region. So you need to make sure to emphasize that. The strength of your organization, your board and volunteer engagement, that you're fiscally stable. So when we as a Give campaign choose organizations, we want to choose organizations that we are totally confident are going to tell the whole community, these guys are a good investment. So you need to communicate that to us in your application. So things around, solid strategic long-range planning. We ask for your budgets. Does your budget match the work that you say that you're doing? That sort of thing. And there's a few different spots where we say, is there anything else you want to tell us? If you think anything that you submit to us needs some explaining. Again, if you have any questions, email me first and call next if we get overwhelmed. Knock on wood. So let's see what else here to pull out. Returning nonprofits, please don't cut and paste from last year. We want to see something a little bit different and a little bit fresh. I know if you're doing mostly the same thing year after year, it's not always that easy, but it's really important to think a little bit creatively about how you talk about the work you're doing. So please do that. And not just what you do, but why you do it. Because it's the why that really matters to everyone. So the resources are available to you. All of you hopefully picked up the application checklist. that is available online. There's a link in the application. This year, the way the application is set up online, if you are a paper person, even if you really don't like to kill trees like me, but I need to see it on paper, you actually can print it from your browser. We did have somebody this week that said, oh, I had saved to continue and I'm not sure where that link is. It's really important. The functionality of the website does allow you to do a save and continue, and please read all the directions really carefully. You've got to scroll down to the bottom and you can send yourself an email, but it might get filtered out as spam. I'm telling you all, taking up your extra time to tell you what you can read, because I don't want anyone to get stuck with, oh, I almost finished my application and now I can't get back to it. We are not lying when we say we cannot get to your application that you saved before it's been submitted. So please make sure to do that. You have to apply online. There's the phone number and email, and the deadline is April 22nd. And I was going to show you a little bit about the website. You can see that. I really want to respect your time, but I will show you one fun thing. Let's see if my keyboard little thing works here. Oh, of course not. One of the things that we're doing with the Design Rangers this year is really looking at how are people using the website and what are there things that we can do to make it work better. One thing we were so excited to hear last year was people said it was very easy to use the website. It was easy to find organizations. We're going to make the search better. We're going to hopefully do a little bit of a, hey, you're only $15 away from the next level up to get your rewards. Why don't you increase your donation? Things like that. And we're using some fun kind of heat mapping analytics on the website to really see where people go and how that all works. But that really is the end of the blah, 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 blah. We want to let you know all of those things about the campaign. Please now, I'd like to open this up for questions. I know we have folks all across the spectrum in terms of your participation in Give. So what question did I not answer? And if you're thinking, well, I'm sure this is obvious and it must be somewhere online, it might not be. So please ask your question. I'm sure someone else would like to know the answer as well. Yes?
Are these slides available online or somewhere? There's a lot of information. Are they available?
That is a great question. I will actually make these available. And one thing that I should have actually announced that I was doing this, but I didn't announce it well, you're not on camera, but we are testing out Facebook Live. So hopefully when we're done with this, we'll go back and there will be a video of this that actually works and that you can hear and see, and that will be available as well. But I will put these online, and as long as you gave us your email address, either in the check-in today or the RSVP, we'll send that out. Thank you. Yes?
How many organizations this year?
So in 2016, we shrunk back a little bit. We went from 88 in 2015 to 72 in 2016, and we're going to keep it closer to that mid-70s range, probably, unless we're reading all the applications and we just say, we can't not. Although I have to be careful, obviously, not to overstretch, but that's a sort of vague answer, but probably in that mid-70s.
Are you still doing 20% new nonprofits selected?
So the question was, are we still aiming for 20% new, 80% returning? And the answer is mostly. It's a very loose goal. Yes.
So continuing from that, what are the chances of these 4 or 5 year nonprofits to return again? In the past it was, they don't have a very good chance of coming back. I don't know if that's changed.
So one of the things I'm really looking forward to doing is clarifying a lot of the sort of expectations and information about. And that exact thing that you said, different people who've been involved have told me different things. And at this point, we do have a lot of organizations who have very consistently participated in the Give campaign. They've been great participants. It's been good for the campaign. It's been good for them. And my orientation is, if we're going to tell groups that have been very consistently participating and meeting all the expectations, being really great participants, that if we decide at some point as a campaign that we want to increase the mix of new organizations, or that we want to, as many of you fundraisers know, it's as frustrating as ever, but it's really good to know if a foundation says, we don't fund you 3 years in a row, or after 3 years you have to take a break. If we decide that as a campaign, we are going to let you know with a lot more than 6 months notice, with I think at least a year. So if that is something we're considering, we're just going to look at, but you will know that's not in the place for this year. Thank you for that question. I should know that. Oh, wait, someone's got it. She asked, what was the largest check we wrote? I believe it was NAMI this last year. And does anybody see it in their report to the community in front of you? If I guess, it'll be so wrong, probably. It might be, and it might not be. I think it's in the $50,000 range. Yeah. So one of those, I know they both look the same because they look kind of the same on the front. The larger newspaper piece that you might have picked up was the sort of the guide to, here's all the groups, it's got the profiles in it, and then the smaller one is the report to the community that we produced in February, I believe, letting everyone know how much all the groups made and how many donors. So that's a good place to get that sense. Sure. Somebody else had a question? Yeah. For the participation fee you're returning. Yeah. So the question was, if you have participated in the campaign in the past, but not last year, and you came back this year, are you considered new? And so at least for the participation fee, it's not. We do have, there are some organizations that decide to apply every other year. So. So I think the question is, what do I know the ratio of national organizations versus local only? Is that, yeah, I don't. I think you can sort of guess by looking at that list. No, there's not a set amount. It really is, I mean, there are obviously a lot of, it's a difficult choice for the board and the selection committee to sort of look at, because for any of you who have been, in a position to be making grants, there are always more organizations that you want to support than you can. And so part of what we do is we don't so much, like being either a national organization or not, is not, does not predispose you positively or negatively. It has much more to do with exciting impact in our local community. But it also is, and this speaks to one of the questions, I think, if it's not on the application, it's something you should think about. If you are an organization that there are lots of other organizations that might be perceived as very similar to you, it's important that you convey to us that you understand how you fit in all of those and why you're different, and that you explain to us why. So for example, we had 3 groups in the campaign last year that had therapeutic in their name. And it was really important, that's not such an example as, as a trails group. How are you different? What do you do that's different from what the other groups do? And how exciting do you sound? And maybe we've got 10 trails groups, all of which we like, and we can't pick them all. And so at some level, it may be that we do our best to pick, and we can't pick everyone. So I know that's not a comforting answer, but it's just the way it is.
Yes. Will there be staff to contact to have questions answered as you're going through the application process?
Yes, me. Absolutely. I will prioritize questions. I am one of those people who absolutely believes it's really important to be responsive. So if you ever don't hear back from me, it's because I'm overwhelmed, and just email me again. So yes. And phone calls are good too, but often emails are better. So I will absolutely be available for questions. Yes.
Would you consider doing like a frequently asked question thing on your website? Like, you received this question, here's the answer.
Yeah, in fact, I was looking through our Facebook posts from a long time ago, and one really cool thing that I think Claire did was she even did kind of like Facebook posts of question number 5 on, it's partly because I'm new and partly because of the particular situation we're in right now, we don't have as much bandwidth for doing that, but I thought about that exact thing. We got a bunch of questions in the last week, so I will figure out if I can do that, and if I can, then I will include it in an e-news blast to everybody. Thank you. Yes?
Question for you. Is in regards to when you said they were similar, this would be our first time we've been in business for 40 years. If there are other food pantries or food banks, would we have an opportunity as a new nonprofit coming into this, although we've been a nonprofit for 45 years, or is the priority going to be taking those that have been returned?
So just in the amount of percentage that we do have a goal of 80% returning and 20% new, I think it is possible that it might make it a larger hurdle for you, but I wouldn't assume that necessarily, because we never know who's going to apply or under what circumstances, and whether we might say, oh, here's something that food pantry is doing that no one else is doing, or it's an area of the community that we don't have other nonprofits that serve as much. So anything that you can tell us about yourself that distinguishes you, I think will help. You're welcome. And one thing that I mentioned last time, and I'll mention again, is that just like many of you, we are an understaffed nonprofit. And so, with this sort of thing, and especially this, in my experience when I have been part of foundations as well, it can get easy if you're frustrated about sort of what you're hearing and that sort of thing, to let that frustration show. I want you all to know that I will always do everything that I can to help you and to give you the right information and to be as responsive as possible. And so just know that. Even though I might not be able to call you back as quick as I want to. But do email me again if you think that I might have, I'm open to that. So any other questions that you do have that you think of after this, feel free to email me, and hopefully I can get an FAQ going online. If we do that, probably what I'll do is post it in the little news section of the website. Also, for those who are new, or maybe for everyone, one thing about the website that we used this last year is all of the information at the close of the campaign is still there and available. And I don't know exactly when we're going to switch it over or what we're going to do in the meantime, but for now you can go and see you know, you can look at the profiles of the groups, you can see what the different matching grants were, you can see the different competitions and how everyone, all the little bar charts, they're all there as well. So do go check that out if you haven't. Going once. I know there's more questions. And please do also stick around and chat with your fellow nonprofit folks. We don't have to be out of here until 5 o'clock, so thank you for coming. And thank you for the great work that you do in our community. It's awesome. Have a good one.